Here are 10 keys to grow your business by 10 times. In this episode, I'm going to answer the question, what can a business do to improve its productivity? I love that question. I've helped thousands of business owners, entrepreneurs, grow their businesses by maybe 10 times in 60 months or less. So get ready. I'm going to actually go through 10 concepts or keys that can transform your business, engage more customers, and be able to dramatically, exponentially increase your productivity. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been an entrepreneur, a personal business owner, sole proprietor. I have several corporations and several LLCs. I have actually taken many of my businesses to higher levels in less than 60 months at 10 times the productivity. So I'm going to use a lot of examples from my own stories, and not every business that I've started was successful. I've learned a lot of lessons. But I've also coached many entrepreneurs to do the same thing and increase their productivity dramatically. In fact, I'm writing a book called 10 Keys to Transform Your Practice while simplifying your life. A lot of times people think, well, if I'm going to go out and try to earn 10 times as much, I'm going to have to work 10 times harder. No. No, I show people how to increase productivity while simplifying their life. So get ready. Now, in our family, we have LLCs, like I said. Now, in our family, LLC stands for a lifetime learning commitment. Yeah, I've got a lot of LLC entities, but see, we'll never stop learning. So, where did I learn all of this? I have invested north of $3 million in my lifetime sharpening my saw, as Stephen Covey would say. I belong to all kinds of mastermind groups, Strategic Coach, the Genius Network, 12 Leaders, and Brilliant Minds Group, and so forth. And so I get to rub shoulders with the likes of Steve Forbes and Peter Diamandis and Richard Branson and Arianna Huffington of the Huffington Post. These are people who I get to glean from in these various think tanks, these millionaire summits that I attend. That's where I've invested money, and I have learned these concepts from several different places. I'm going to go through the 10 most dramatic keys that took my practice, and I'm talking about, up until about the turn of the century, 2000. I was so happy, sort of like a one-man band, and I was netting $500,000 a year. And a lot of people said, well, golly, Doug, you've arrived. Well, as an entrepreneur, there's really two kinds of entrepreneurs. There's lifestyle entrepreneurs, and those are the ones who finally get up to an income and they just want to maintain that lifestyle. I'm more of a growth entrepreneur. I don't want to ever stop growing or stop learning. I want to grow exponentially. I was antsy. I had sort of hit a ceiling of complexity. But I was making $500,000 a year, and a lot of people said, aren't you satisfied? Well, yeah, it's not about the money. It's about blessing more lives, and I was only able to reach so many people by myself. And so that's when I had advice from some of my coaches, like Dan Sullivan, the Strategic Coach. He said, Doug, you've got to sell your recipe to your success instead of just selling the cake to your own clients. You've got to make your competitors your customers. I said, what? He said, you need to make your competitors your customers. Your competitors will pay you for your wisdom, for your recipe, for the way that they can help their clients, and then you will dramatically increase your income. That was back in the year 2000. In 5 years, by 2005, I had gone from $500,000 net to $5 million. I had 10 times my revenue by doing what he said. And this is where I was able to go out and create a system and sell my recipe to other financial advisors and give them my systems and methods. And I was able to reach more people in America. They used my books. My books became national bestsellers, New York Times, Wall Street Journal #1 bestsellers in 2007, because I began to capture my wisdom instead of being scarcity minded. Oh, this is my little secret. No, I shared it. And because I shared it in one fell swoop, People knew it was my wisdom. In fact, my network of over 3,000 advisors, CPAs, tax attorneys, financial planners, insurance agents, real estate, accountants, attorneys, they were protecting me because if anybody plagiarized my wisdom, they would say, you didn't come up with that. Doug Andrew came up with that. And so they actually protected my intellectual property with me. Now, people have tried to copy my stuff, but I can innovate faster than I can litigate. And so I've always realized that I can always be ahead of it and grow by 10x every 5 years if I want. So let me share with you the 10 keys that I think are game changers, and it's actually revealed in a book that's going to be coming out very shortly. So it all started back when I published my second book. My first book I self-published, and it got the attention of Time Warner Business Books. They bought the rights to that and commissioned me to write several more. And so it was my second book that we went through 500,000 copies. I was actually invited to speak at the $1 Million Roundtable Convention. And that's something that a lot of speakers, that's sort of on their bucket list. They want to be invited someday to speak at the $1 Million Roundtable Convention. It's an unbelievable story that I won't share here, but I was in the right place at the right time with the right spirit. I was passionate about my BHAG. A BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. And I wanted to be a best-selling author. I wanted to take this wisdom that was in me and capture it and send it out and bless the lives of many, many more people than I could just one-on-one with my clients. And so I was talking about that right after 9/11 in 2001, right after the terrorist attacks. I was at a convention. Little did I know that the head, the president, the chairman, who was the previous year's president, and the vice president of the $1 Million Roundtable were at this table. We didn't have name tags on. And I was so passionate, and they went, whoa, would you like to speak at next year's $1 Million Roundtable? I was blown away. I don't think that was just chance, but I was able to speak, and I gave this talk. It was 10 keys to achieve the top of the table and beyond. And it was, well, you simplify your career. Well, long story short, they thought I might have just a breakout group of 50 people. They ended up scheduling me in the big ballroom that held 1,000 people, and 1,600 people showed up. The fire marshal had to turn away another 300 people. I sold 780 books in the next break that was only 20 minutes long, and all of a sudden, bam. But the talk I gave revealed the 10 keys, and I have tweaked these ever since. It was the most listened and purchased talk at that convention back then. And so I have given this talk adapted to chiropractors, to orthodontists, to real estate agents, to CPAs, you name it, any business owner, any entrepreneur. If they will apply these 10 keys, their productivity will go through the roof. So let me just simply summarize them with a scorecard that I'm going to have in the book, and I'll explain them each briefly. And then if this intrigues you, I would encourage that you learn more. I have other YouTube videos that go into more depth in every single one of these keys. So when I have entrepreneurs come to my talk, I usually pass out this 11 by 17 scorecard. And it lists these key principles, all 10 of them over here on the left. And what I want people to do while I teach these concepts is to score themselves from poor, fair, good, better to best on a scale of 1 to 10. So there's actually statements in here, and whatever statement typifies sort of where they're at in their business. If it's the yellow, if it's right here, then they would give themselves a score of 5 or 6 over here. After 10 principles, the perfect score would be 100, but now they've quantified, oh, I'm only at 47. Well, don't beat yourself up. The most important thing you need to know when you're going to go on a trip somewhere for the very first time is, where are you at? A GPS needs to know where you're at before it can tell you where to go and how to get to your destination, okay? This helps you understand where you are at on a scale of 0 to 100. So here's the 10 keys. Number 1, identify and focus on the profile of your ideal clients. Most businesses, they focus on everybody, and frankly, 80% of their revenue is usually derived from the top 20% of their customers, but they're spending 80% of their time with the people that only make up 20% of their income. So I teach them how to flip that to where they're spending their time with the people who make up the most income, and their revenue starts going through the roof. Number two, move your professional objectives to the highest value level. Most people operate at a commodity level. It's a dog-eat-dog competitive world. People just think that dentists or chiropractors are a dime a dozen. They're all the same. So I help them move from the commodity perception to maybe they offer unique products, maybe they offer exceptional service, but that's the highest that most get to. I talk about an educational experience, a unique experience. That's why Starbucks commands $4 to $5 for 10 cents worth of liquid, because of the unique experience at Starbucks. But the level that's the highest, you'll have the highest compensation with the least competition, is when you provide a meaningful transformation for people. So I teach entrepreneurs how to do that. Third, provide greater clarity, balance, focus, and confidence for your clients, your patients, your customers. I teach how to do that because clarity gives your customers and patients energy. When you have balance, that takes the wobble out of their life regarding what you do for them. When you help them focus on what matters most, that increases the accuracy in which they achieve their goals. With clarity, balance, and focus, they have much greater confidence. People will come to you if they walk away feeling more confident when they walked in. Confidence attracts opportunities. So that's number three. Number four, operate within your unique ability and delegate everything else. Most entrepreneurs spend a bunch of time doing stuff that they're only, barely competent at. No, you delegate that, and you should only be focused on the things that you are superior at, and you delegate the rest. It's not saving you money to do it yourself. It's costing you money. And I can prove it to you. You go down here to create more opportunities than capability. Dan Sullivan calls it, if you have more capability than you have opportunities, how sad is that? I want to flip that for you. I want you to have way more opportunities than you have the capability to seize. And then, that's a nice problem, you have a filter. Which opportunities, which customers, which patients are you going to work with? Which ones are you going to delegate to an associate or a staff? And which ones are you going to just walk away from? But most entrepreneurs, anybody that can fog a mirror, they take in as a customer, and it's a waste of their time. Next, balance your life. Take the wobble out of your life. Use a freedom time system and have days where you don't address your emails or anything. You go away and you recreate. It's called recreate. And that's where I get most of my innovation, is when I'm recreating. But then I come back and I focus and I schedule clients and customers maybe on Tuesdays and Thursdays where I'm focusing on helping my clients and customers. That's where I get paid. Other days, I am learning new capabilities. I am out in mastermind groups. I'm doing the paperwork. Those might be Mondays and Wednesdays. But I take between 120 to 160 free days a year where I download. You will actually increase your free time and simplify your life when you do this. It's not going to cost you money. It makes you money. It's amazing what people find out. Use professional coaches and mentors. So I point my students, many of them, to different coaches that I've used, and I coach many business owners, and I facilitate mastermind groups. And when they come every quarter, we go through each one of these tools, for example, these principles, and we dive really deep. And in 2.5 years, many of them have 10 times their practice. Use the best tools to solve. I have 20 thinking tools that will help you assess in your business. Who are we missing? Okay. What's the smallest change that will have the greatest impact? How do we arm our recommenders to easily defend with pride why they engaged with us? Make it easy for people to recommend you. A lot of entrepreneurs don't think about that. And last of all, redefine your business every 7 years. You know what? Steve Forbes is the one that taught me this. He redefines his business, Forbes magazine, every 7 years. And if he did not do that, he said he would be out of business. And so it's not just every 7 years you go through that process so that every 7 years, if you look back, the way you do things is totally different than what you did before, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. Most business owners make the mistake of thinking the way it is today is the way it's always been and the way it's always going to be. No. You need to adapt to change, social media, advertising, and so forth. So if this is giving you a few aha moments, I would encourage you to search on this YouTube channel for other videos that I've recorded with more depth, about 10 or 12 minutes on each of these 10 keys. And if you want to increase the productivity in your business, I would advise that you implement these 10 for the greatest impact with the smallest amount of time, energy, and money.